Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Beth, here to help you fulfill your potential in meditation. As most of you know, I don't have just one method that I teach to everybody, like one size fits all. Instead, I much prefer to teach people one-on-one. And the reason is that you're all different. So please use these videos as a guideline, and if there's anything that isn't quite working for you or anything that doesn't quite fit, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you individually. Today's video is about this age-old problem of overcoming wandering thought in meditation. So we're trying to meditate, but the mind is thinking about other things. Wandering thought, we could say, is the curse of meditators since time immemorial, and there's loads that we could say about ways to work with that, way more than I could fit into one short video. So what I want to do today is just give 5 tips, and these are 5 tips that we can find in one of the teachings of the Buddha called the Vitakasantana Sutta. I'm going to put that link to the sutta just below for those of you who want to read it. And what I would suggest is that you go away and try these tips when you are in your own meditation, see if they can help you overcome some of the wandering thought that you experience. So the first tip given by the Buddha in this teaching is when we are thinking about something and our mind is obsessed by something, we can try replacing that thought with a different thought, with a more refined, more subtle thought. He gives the simile of if there's a peg stuck in the ground and you want to take it out, that you can stick in a more fine peg and you can use that more fine peg to help get the coarse peg out. So an example would be, for example, if we were really angry with somebody and we couldn't stop thinking about it, we could replace those thoughts with maybe thoughts of loving kindness instead. Now, thoughts of loving kindness are technically still thinking, but they're a much more refined, much more skillful form of thinking. So replacing the coarse thought with a more fine, more refined thought. The second tip given by the Buddha is to reflect on the danger of the thoughts. So again, the Buddha gave this really vivid simile of if you have the carcass of a dead human or a dead dog around your neck, then obviously, you want to throw it away. You don't want to walk around carrying this dead body around your neck. And the Buddha said in the same way, thoughts, they're like dead things. They're like dead things from the past that we're carrying around with us now. And when we reflect on the danger of the thoughts, we have this same inclination to abandon them, to put them down, to let them go. Now, the third tip given by the Buddha in this sutta is to simply ignore the thoughts. Just don't look at them. He gave the example of a man who has good eyesight, but just decides not to look at something. Now, when we do this, when we ignore the thoughts and we give our full attention to our meditation object, what we notice is that the thoughts start to lose their momentum. The mind can only do one thing at a time. So when we're giving all our attention to our meditation object, there's less attention on the thinking, and eventually it will just die down and eventually it will stop. The fourth tip given by the Buddha is to focus on the stilling of the thoughts. He gave this example of if a man is running and then he thinks, why am I running? What if I were to just walk? And then when he's walking, he thinks, well, why am I walking? What if I were to stand still? And then when he stands still, he thinks, why am I standing? What if I were to sit down? And when he sits down, he thinks, why am I sitting? What if I were to lie down? And so step by step, he's relaxing more, he's becoming more calm, relaxing back into a more refined posture. And so in the same way, when our mind is full of wandering thoughts, we can consider, okay, now my mind is racing. What if I were to slow it a little? And then again, and then again. And in this way, step by step, we can bring our thoughts to stillness. Now, the last tip in this sutta, I would suggest that you use it only as a last resort. Please use it only very sparingly. And this is basically the tip of forcing the thoughts out of your mind. The Buddha says that we can clench our teeth and press our tongue against the roof of our mouths, like, I will not think these thoughts. So obviously we only want to use this one in extreme cases when we really can't control our mind. There's a danger that if we overuse this one, we'll create tension or stress in our practice. So those are the 5 tips given by the Buddha in the Vitakasantana Sutta about how we can handle wandering thought. As I said, I would suggest that you give those a go in your practice, and also I would suggest that you try to find your own ways of overcoming wandering thought in the practice. When the thought arises, can you welcome in your wisdom and your investigation and see if you can find some ways that work for you to still the mind. Having said all of that, now is the time to get off of the screens, get onto the meditation cushions and actually give it some practice. This is something that it takes time to learn. We need practice to learn how to still our thoughts. There's a remainderless ending of all suffering, so let's not waste time and let's not spend our time lost in wandering thoughts. It's like the Buddha said, carrying the carcass of a dead human being with us around on our necks. If you're encountering any difficulty, if anything isn't quite working for you, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you individually. As most of you know, I do all of my work on a donation basis, so I encourage you to support me either through my website or through Patreon. You can find out how to do that just underneath this video. Thank you so much for your support. Wishing you the best with your meditation.